Hey again, friends. Another Whisky-ing for you here. Special edition. I made an exception for you. An exception to treat myself, I guess. This is a Canadian whiskey show. I love featuring Canadian whiskey. I think it's great value. I think it's great price. I think it's great taste. The mixing going on, it brings so much to the table. But I make an exception for my favorite distillery from Scotland, Glenfarkles. Family-owned distillery. Did a tasting just this last week with a bunch of folks here from liquor stores around Edmonton. We had George Grant, the sixth generation guy who runs the show now, jumped on with us and talked about 4 different whiskeys. I got 2 for you here today, and part of it's to teach a lesson. And that flows well with the theme of this show. Not pretentious. We've got a 21-year-old here, a 21-year-old Scotch, which is cranking well over $200 for a full-on bottle. So not normally a fit, but I've got good news for you. That's not the best whiskey we tasted. I've got a 15-year-old here, still not Walmart price whiskey, but an example of how not always does older equal better. So let's tip in. So Glenfarkles, I love. I mean, you don't even have to, just being near this whiskey, your mouth is watering. It gives off such aroma. These guys are huge on sherry, Oloroso sherry casks that they finish these things in. They've been doing it for decades, about 150 years, I think, just about this way. They know what they're doing. And the 21-year-old, I mean, they go way older, 25, 30, 35. They've got the family cask series way back to like 50 years ago. It's crazy edition, but 21 is like where their really high-end stuff starts. It's a treat. So right away, you're getting a little bit of cigar smoke, a lot of dried fruit, like dried fig, dates, very gentle. A touch of this almost like cough syrup medicine thing that is a signature across Glenfarkles. It's really gentle in this. The 12-year-old can be a little bit in your face. So it's not even a bad, like, bitter cough medicine. It's just a really almost herby kind of vibe. That's just a signature that sets Glenfarkles apart, and it's absolutely here. Kind of a neat thing, kind of a rosé color, maybe even picking up a little bit off just an off amber tint with the sherry. But anyways. So we'll tip in. Yeah, you pick up the vanilla on this very much up front. A little bit of almost a tanginess. Like a little bit of a citrusy kind of vibe up front that quickly folds back. Any hint of sweetness kind of evaporates away, and then you get kind of the toasted, woody flavor. Gets a little bit astringent, nothing tortuous though. Touch of charcoal, and finishes like water. As long as you don't try and shoot this stuff, it drinks like it's barely even booze. And that's the thing that's made high-end Scotch famous, is how incredibly smooth it is, and this is right up there. Yeah, delicate. I almost feel like I need to be wearing silk gloves to treat this thing. It's just a little too fancy for me. To be honest, it's a whiskey that I wouldn't want to drink on your average night, because I don't think there's enough peace in the household for me to focus on just enjoying this thing, and it needs that kind of respect. Now, I started off the show by saying it's not the best one. I still agree. Because there's a whiskey here, the 15-year-old. Now, you notice right away it's a deeper, like this one's a straight up amber. It's really oily in a good way. I love this texture. So it really like coats the glass. And if this one like demands your attention to really appreciate, like if you just sip this back, you're going to miss a lot of stuff. This one's more of a party one. Like right off the nose, it's smacking you with like, such a nerd, smacking with, it's whiskey. You're getting a huge hint of toffee, butterscotch, with a little bit of like anise. Yeah, but toffee, candy. Like you would drink this thinking this is like almost maple syrup, but it's so much better. Seeing that oily texture I was talking about just floats on the tongue. So it's delivering that toffee. It's there, but it's not cloyingly sweet. Yeah, flavor kind of hovers there, rolls around, not quite as quickly. The sweetness holds on a little bit more than with this one. It still has it does turn into a little bit bitter on the back. Again, not a bad thing. It's got that little kick of cough syrup. Picking up a bit of a juicy vibe here. Yeah. So it almost tips into like a touch of orange juice, but then quickly pulls back and reminds you it's a whiskey that it goes dry almost immediately after. Yeah, the woody vibes coming off it, even when you're just inhaling as you're drinking it, it just dances around there. Like this thing would absolutely stand up after a dinner. It would so like it can compete with bigger flavors. It's got that nice sweetness about it that makes it a great after dinner drink. It's something you can be sitting around chatting with friends, and it's not going to let you get by without noticing what it's got to offer. It's putting it out there for you, but it's still wonderful. It's still delicious. I would enjoy this 8 times out of 10 to the 2 times that I'd actually be able to pay attention to this one. I'm going to call this the better whiskey for most occasions, but that just goes to show that it's not always about the higher age being better. Being in a barrel a long time changes whiskey. It doesn't just uniformly make it better. It changes along the way. I love what they've pulled off in the 15-year-old. Really a whiskey for different occasions. So lesson being, don't necessarily shell out for automatically the most expensive stuff. You can find even sometimes better stuff at that lower age range. And most importantly, try up and down the range, right? Don't immediately grab for the most expensive bottle. One thing I like to do is start lower in the range. And if you find some flavor like that, maybe medicinal flavor that maybe in the 12-year-old a little bit up front, be like, oh, but I like that part of it. Let's take it up a notch and, grab that 15 or that 18-year-old. And maybe that's as much as you can afford. Hey, that's cool. If that's great whiskey, a lot of 18-year-olds are unbelievable whiskey. This 15 is fantastic. And then if you feel like going there and you've got that one special occasion, jump on that big bottle, but don't necessarily start there because you might find that you stop along the way and be like, yeah, this is exactly where I want to hang out. So Glenfarkles, first of all, 100% recommend. Sherry, wonderfulness. But grab that 15. You're not looking at $200 plus for it, and it's attainable. Great whiskey. The 21-year-old's a treat if you get a chance, but I actually would just be happy to stop at the 15. So save some money, enjoy some whiskey. Cheers. We'll talk to you soon.